watching this series, you're probably somebody who really cares about people and wants to help. Probably a light worker or an old soul. And sometimes the burden, because you can't get through to someone, can be very painful. That's the topic today.
Today we're talking about people in your life that are stuck and you wanting to help them and not being able to move them at all. And so how do we come to peace with this? Because I've been a people pleaser all my life. I've been, a nurse, a healer, a helper my whole life, oldest of 5, helping siblings my whole life. And when it's the most frustrating thing when I meet somebody in my life and I can't help them because they're stuck. And I feel like maybe I'm doing something wrong. But you've helped me to see this in a very different way, so I think that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so if I took on the emotional heaviness of all the clients I couldn't help, I would not be doing what I'm doing. There has to be a level of understanding that we only can do so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take it in a case of a healing session. So I can create a beautiful healing session, and some people change tremendously
Just in one session.
in one session.
Wow.
And some people don't. And some people can't. But it's always been kind of something that I know that I'm not responsible for how somebody receives the healing, because I'm just creating the space. It's their journey, their higher self that is using this, their belief systems, their perceptions to heal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's difficult when I'm dealing with a client that I want to help so badly and they just got this negative tone, they don't want to change. But it gets more difficult when we're dealing with someone we love.
Yeah,
Family.
like family, children, like when you watch your kids and if they're stuck, like, kids go up and down through life, and when they're down, parents want to help. And some kids are easier to help than others. Mm-hmm. And so when kids are stuck, what can you do? Like, it does feel like your responsibility as a parent to step in and provide some kind of support or help.
Well, I would say as a parent, yes, we have some responsibility to check out the keys or the tone of our children. Something's not right. Yes, of course we want to jump in. But let's say we have a child that is in a negative space,
Mm-hmm.
and we know they're safe. They're not going to hurt themselves, and we're getting them help, let's say, but they just don't want to get out of this negative space. Sometimes that is, I think we talked about this, that could be part of our lesson to learn,
Mm-hmm.
but we get to a point where...
So wait a minute, let's spend a minute there, because our lesson to learn would be what? That they can help themselves, that we should walk away, like kind of thing? Like, what's the lesson there? That we don't have to be the fixer.
Yeah, and also that we can get triggered by them not wanting to do something that we feel they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to talk about this already, but let's say we have a child that is... I'm going to use this one because this is a common one I get with a lot of parents.
Mm-hmm.
My child watches the phone too much and perhaps uses, say, marijuana or drinking. That's common. That's common. Now, we want to make sure that child's not going to hurt themselves. But if they're, say, a 19-year-old child, 20 years old, 21, they're their own person living under our roof, and we're watching it. We know it's not good for them. We know watching too much phones, playing too much social media, all that stuff isn't good for them.
Yeah, and us watching them is not good for us.
It's not good for us. And we can get triggered by it and triggered on it. But there's so much we can do. We can, engage them every day. But we're not responsible for their soul's journey. There's a lot of sensitive people out there, empathic people that are feeling the heaviness of the world right now. And sometimes they go inward as they're processing stuff, or their higher self has something more in store for them. It's their journey.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't sit there and take responsibility for all their actions.
Mm-hmm.
I know it hurts. Trust me. I see people and I want to shake them up. Like, do you know, you shouldn't have said that. That was a negative thought. Say something more positive. The universe is listening.
Mm-hmm.
If I sat in my kid's face going at it all the time, they're just going to tone me out saying, Mom, quiet.
Well, kids do. They repel from negative energy. So anything we say that they think is negative, they walk the other way.
Yeah, so there's this fine line. But the trick here is, how do I not take it personally? I'm not responsible to heal the world. What I'm responsible for is for me. You're responsible for you, how you act, how you treat people, how you feel. Because no one's going to really take care of you the way you can take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
You have your own higher self, your own spiritual guidance team. I always tell people this. Listen, when we worry about our spouses or our friends or our kids, I always say they have their own connection to their divinity. Their higher self is talking to them all the time. They have spirit guides that love them too. Trust that.
So they can hear their spirit guides and their higher self through like all the video games
No,
on their phone?
probably not. But when they're in quieter times, going to bed, I don't care where someone's at. If something dangerous is coming their way,
Mm-hmm.
their higher self is going to get through to them. Like sometimes someone will say, I heard this from a kid. I was on my phone and the guy was going to cross the street. Like they crossed the street looking at their phone.
Yeah.
And something grabbed my shoulder and threw me back. And when I look back, nobody was there. That was their guardian angel, stopping them from dying because it wasn't their time to die.
Hmm.
Now, as a mother, I want to yell and scream at the kids, put your phone down.
Yeah.
But that, to me, is proof, and I already know this, is each of my children, every single person out there has a connection with their higher self to some extent. It's always there.
Yeah.
Their spirit guides are always there. I can't go around fixing the world. You can't go around fixing the world. And, yes, we're pleasers, and we want to make sure everyone's okay. But if we're always catering to everyone, how is that kid going to learn to take care of themselves? How is that spouse going to learn to take care of their own feelings if we're giving them everything they need?
Yeah, and who's taking care of us?
Yeah, and you're stopping their growth. Yeah. There are some clients that say, oh, I can't leave my spouse because that person would be destroyed if I left them. Do you know sometimes when we leave our spouse, I'm not saying leave your spouse, but I'm just saying if it comes to that,
Mm-hmm.
do you know that generally both parties excel afterwards because that relationship that isn't working and that they're clinging on to is actually holding them back?
Mm-hmm.
And then when it breaks up, both of them are like, what happened? Oh my gosh. And they have to go within and wake up and start to grow. Do you know a mom walking into a house with their kids and their spouse saying, hey guys, I'm no longer making dinner for you guys. I'm done. Enjoy. Food's in the fridge. Help yourself. I'm going upstairs. The 3D, their personalities are going to get pissed off. What? Mom's not cooking? But do you know their higher selves are like, oh, about time. Let these kids grow up.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying ignore the signs. If your kids are hurting, like really seriously, or notice a huge change in behavior, reach out to me because sometimes there's something bigger there. But I'm talking about us parents who mother and overly mother and ensure everyone's okay. Stop it.
Yeah.
But what you can do that's very powerful is, my kids, they're this is how I learned, right?
Mm-hmm.
I learned that I had to dissociate a little bit. How do you dissociate from people you love? I wake up every morning and I say my kids are happy, healthy, thriving, and have direction.
Mm-hmm.
And that they are surrounded by the love of God because they're divine beings of God, just like we all are. So may they have a lovely day. I'm not responsible for their lovely day.
Yeah, that's pretty easy to do, I guess, as far as a new habit. And that was some really good thinking. If you heard Brenda say that really clearly, is that you're not alone, that these kids or people, everybody's got their own little guardian angels. Is that right? So that kind of helps me feel better. And the idea that I can hold them in love. Like, even though I can't do anything for them that day, I can think of them and visualize them being happy and healthy and thriving. And that actually does help them.
Yes, actually, what just came in my mind is a lot of people say, oh, Brenda, I'm so worried about my son. Do not be worried about your son. You're actually bringing worry to that child. So if you think you're helping by worrying about anyone, you are not. Do you know how I work with clients?
Mm.
You know what my gift is?
Mm.
All right.
Feels like this should be a separate episode.
When I look at someone, I never see them in their trauma. I never see them sick. I never see them they're out of alignment. They're worried, nothing. I always see them where they can be and their true self, where they are. So I ignore that. They're sitting there, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I get it. I understand it. But what do I see them? In their magnificence, them thriving, they're healthy. And then what does that do? It opens up the pathway to bring them there. Imagine if you had worry for those people, well, you're not even holding a pathway where they can jump into and be a better version of themselves. So do that. Stop taking the burden of others. I know it's hard. I want to help everyone and everything. First, you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You matter. Be selfish. Take that time to reboot. What do they say in the airplane? You're going on a trip soon. What do they say?
Oh no, I'm blanking.
The mask.
Something about the mask. Put your mask on first, then help somebody else.
There you go.
There you go.
Because if you don't put on your mask and you're out of air, you can't help the people around you. You take care of you. You're number one. Take care of you first.
Mm-hmm.
When you are filled up, then you take care of the ones around you. And when we say take care, don't overextend, don't overplease, don't overdo that. You have your boundaries, which you're learning, which we all are learning. And we're sending them love, we're giving them tips, we're helping them, and then we're seeing them in their magnificence.
Yeah. And there are other people that can help them. There's doctors, there's therapists, there's all kinds of people. There's people like Brenda who can offer energy work and healing. So reach out, you're not alone. Reach out at www.sobrilliant.ca and we'll see if we can help you.
Thank you for joining us.
If you have any questions or comments, visit us at sobrilliant.ca.
Sending you lots of love and light. Until next time.